Well, now then, this is obviously the youth wing of the Yorkshire Liberation Army, so it's a real pleasure to be here and to be in Yorkshire's capital. I'm a proud Yorkshireman. I'm not a stage variety like Eric Pickles, but I'm a real Yorkshireman, certified by the late Stanley Ellis as being born within half a mile of the Ring of Bells in Baildon. So I don't think you can get better. It's amazing how, if you remember Stanley Ellis, he used to be able to locate your place of birth by your accent within about a mile. He located the Yorkshire Ripper. Unfortunately, it was the wrong Ripper in Teesside. Well, he located me in Baildon with a kind of soups on, he said, of Bradford. So that's my place thing. I'd keep quiet about being a Yorkshireman in Grimsby, however, because they hate Yorkshire people. They regard themselves as Lincolnshire yellowbellies, and they regard themselves as the occupied territories. Now that they're part of the Yorkshire and Humber region, the first thing I saw when I went to Grimsby to stand as the candidate was in letters 6 feet high. I mean, I'm not kidding you, 6 feet high, across 2 blocks of flats, "Death to all Yorkies." I thought, this is a friendly Grimsby welcome. And I thought after time, because the rumours were circulating that I came from the Soviet Union. I think they got it mixed up with the Socialist Republic of South Yorkshire. And that my wife, who's at the back there, is in fact a New Zealander, was Arthur Scargill's sister. So I had a real warm welcome to Lincolnshire. And I thought after 6-7 years I'd lived this down and they were beginning to accept me. I kept quiet about being a Yorkshireman, and copies of the joke book were smuggled in on the plain cover, and no association with me. But then, after 6 years, another sign appeared which said, "Yorkies, prepare your coffins." So I'm a Yorkshireman here, but not so much in Lincolnshire. And the pleasure of being in York is being able to say that. York, of course, to give it its proper Latin name, Iberacum, which is where Ibar gum comes from. The thing that probably don't know this, that Linda told me as a New Zealander, that was what Captain Cook said when New Zealand hove into view on his ship in 1769, when he actually discovered New Zealand, and he stood there with his mouth agape and said, Ibar gum. And he discovered the loveliest place in the world, outside Yorkshire. So I've been keeping quiet about Yorkshire while representing a Lincolnshire seat. And as you said, Stanley, 34 years representing Grimsby, and I had quite a shock the other week because we went down to a local fish and chip shop, and I was inside the fish and chip, actually taking some photographs, because I take photographs everywhere. And Linda was walking up and down outside, waiting for the fish and chips to come out. And there were 2 old jokers sat at the table, and she overheard them saying, one said to the other, it said, that's Austin Michell, he used to be on Calendar. And the other chap looked up and said, "Oh, yes. Yeah, what's he been doing since then?" So 34 years representing Grimsby had not exactly been invited. I used to tell that joke actually about Richard Whiteley, but it was actually came true of me. Anyway, Yorkshire humour. Well, Yorkshire has many virtues. It is really God's own county, as we all know. It's the birthplace of Robin Hood, the founder of the Labour Party, and birthplace of many other famous figures. It doesn't have a Garrison Keillor to write about it. I wish we did have a Garrison Keillor to write about Yorkshire. And the way he writes about Michigan, we've got Ian Macmillan, who you're having at the Christmas crack next year. Ian's marvellous, but it's not quite Garrison Keillor. And as Garrison Keillor said of his home state, Yorkshire is a county where all the men are strong, all the women are beautiful, as manifest by the audience, and all the children are above average. That's Yorkshire. We do send people down south, usually to run the country. I think you've probably noticed it's been less well run since Harold Wilson and Dennis Healey stopped running the country, and it passed into the hands of Scots and Southerners. But we send people down south. A few people come up north, as a kind of exchange, to seek freedom, and the IQ of both areas, north and south, rises as a result of this population flow. I'll leave you to work that one out. I will explain it at the end of the session if you want. So we are an amazing county. And a recent survey showed that we're also a very virile county. It reported, I think probably accurately, that Yorkshiremen, all Yorkshiremen, have sex twice a night. It also reported that all Yorkshire women have amnesia, but I think this proves the virility of Yorkshire. But it is not, and I have to say it now, a land of great humour. So this could well prove the shortest talk. I don't know when you vote at the end of it, but the shortest talk the Dialect Society's ever had. In fact, to put it quite bluntly, we're a lot of miserable buggers. We give note away, don't give money away, we've got all the generosity of an Aberdonian with no arms, and we don't give laughs away either. We're thrilled to kind of misery, being so miserable, that keeps us going. This is John Hartley, Yorkshire's great poet, Yorkshire literature course from Scarborough University, York University's extension at Scarborough. And this is the perfect description of a situation which makes Yorkshiremen very happy. It were raining and snowing and cold, and flagstones were covered with muck, and east wind both whistled and howled. It sounded like note but ill luck, when two little lads donned their rags, bart stockings, or shoes on the feet, came traipsing away o'er flags, both of them soddened with wheat. Toldest would happen be 10, young and half that, no more. And I looked on, and I said to my son, God help folk this weather that's poor. But the conclusion of the poem is that that clammed, that half donned, my lads, still. There's a deal nearer heaven, the sum. Yorkshiremen in the happiest state, sheer misery. And that's beautifully described. In fact, one thing sums up the kind of conditions that Yorkshire people like. We're all down in coil oil, muck slats on windows. When Bun Bailiff comes, he'll never find us. Well, that's not actually a Yorkshire poem. It's a report from the Office of Budget Responsibility about the consequence of continuing George Osborne's policies into next year. But I have to say this. George Osborne is making a lot of people happy, Yorkshire people happy, by the misery he's inflicting on the country. And when we had a survey, I read it in the Daily Mail last week, that people in England were the happiest in Europe. I could tell why. Because Yorkshiremen saw the misery to come and were really happy. And that weighted the statistics so much towards happiness that the whole population was supposed to be happy. That's us. A real miserable lot of people. And we are adept at bad-mouthing each other. If you ask people how they are, you find that nobody in Yorkshire will ever say they're better than a middling. Oh, I'm middling. If you ask them how much money they've got, oh, I'm all right.